Hey, hello everyone, I hope you're all doing fantastic. My name is Marcello Kolax, I'm the Managing Director here at Clever Markets and you are joining me for a weekly market update, this time for the week starting 17th of March 2025. And what a week that was last week. Nothing happened. After some initial gains, we just all of last week moved sideways and everyone was wondering, is it going to go higher or not? We had a lot of news coming in, especially from the Ukrainian war side. Couldn't really move the market either way. There was a lot of speculation, there was a lot of talk, but nothing really happened. So now the big question is, what is going to happen for the week ahead? Of course, before we get going, here a little disclaimer, everything you see here is just my own humble opinions and not exactly trading advice. Okay, so I want to start us off with a little bit of an overview. So on the Clever Markets dashboard, that of course is available to all Clever Markets clients, we see that the hourly, daily and weekly charts for the key gas and power markets is rather neutral. So we are truly indecisive. We are at a key turning point essentially. We have just recently started turning neutral on the hourly charts. The daily chart has turned neutral from a previously bearish stance. Now this, or like 2 weeks ago, we had this upside correction, everything turned neutral while we are working through this correction, and we haven't come out of this yet, so it's decision time essentially. So looking at the sentiment poll, it is quite revealing. So we had 2 weeks of strong bullishness, and I just want to walk us back a little bit. We had bearishness that was just reflected in the market. Then we did have a week of bullishness and the market actually did move higher, and then we had another week of bullishness, bullish sentiment, we had another week of a bullish sentiment, but the market started moving sideways. So after that, we are now seeing that the bullish sentiment is actually dropping off significantly, and that for good reason, because the market simply hasn't moved. Okay, so what is actually happening? So here we see on the TTF front month, the NBP front month, the TTF front season, NBP front season right there. We do have EUAs, we have German power, we have nat gas, Henry Hub essentially, and Brent. And we can see that all these markets are essentially moving sideways after a little bit of an upside correction. Now you can see where we are topping out, right? It is for all of them, or for most of them, the 200-day exponential moving average. So this is important because the 200-day exponential moving average is very significant, because can you imagine just the psychology behind that? We are now moving on average, we are now on average below what the price has been over the past 200 sessions, or above what the price has been over the past 200 sessions, right? So this level is significant. And for now, the small bodies and the long wicks are showing us that the bulls are definitely not in charge at all. So overall, so here just a little tip for TA or market analytics in general. I like to trade with swings. So on the daily chart here, for example, we are trading with these big swings, and on the daily chart that helps us to look ahead maybe like 2-3 weeks. Yeah, overall it's still looking bearish because we are still posting lower lows and lower highs on all these markets. I mean, we haven't had a lower low yet. That would only come below these troughs here. Now, what do we do with these up legs? Does it mean we are bullish, or we are neutral, or still bearish? How do we count this? So in line with the Clever Markets methodology, we would have, and we did, zoom into the smaller time frames as we are working with the corrections. And then in these corrective up moves, we can say on the hourly chart, we are bullish, whereas on the daily chart we are now neutral while we are working through this upside correction. So that means I'm not really looking for selling opportunities, as the market is still, or at least was last week, 2 weeks ago, pushing higher, right? So that means, yes, we can take bullish intraday trades on the hourly chart, while on the daily chart this corrective up leg is perceived as being neutral. If you want to know what the Clever Markets technical analysis methodology is, how I implement it, and why it matters on a day-to-day basis, then go to the link in the description. It will sign you up to the Clever Markets newsletter. You'll get a weekly market outlook for free, and on top of that I will also give you the Clever Markets methodology for free. And if you're ever ready to implement technical analysis fully for your team, or you're ready to move on from any legacy providers, then I want to be the name that comes to your mind first, because with all of this, I want to just prove that my free stuff is probably better than the paid stuff you're already receiving. Alright, so on the TTF front month product on the weekly chart, we are working with this broadening wedge and we found support here. So it's kind of good that we drew it in beforehand. We can see that we did push above the 23.6% FIB retracement with the latest close, with last week's close, which usually sets the market up for some more gains. So what is the evidence here? We see that the momentum tools, so the MACD, is still bearish. Okay, that doesn't really help us with the bulls. But what is this? We see that the stochastic is hinging just a little bit. We didn't get a bullish signal here yet, but it is not as bearish as it previously was. What are the trend tools saying? So for that, I'm looking at the 8 and 12 exponential moving average. Still kind of bearish. So here we only have a small chance at continuing higher significantly. The bulls honestly would only be fully back above 45.18. I kind of want to sit this one out, and even then we are probably just dealing with an extensive correction before we continue lower again. So overall, I think this little up leg that we are currently observing on the weekly chart is best observed, traded, anticipated on the daily and on the hourly chart. So here on the daily chart, we are within this broadening wedge, and you can see we are just hovering around this 200-day exponential moving average. We have like long wicks and the bodies have been getting smaller. Yes, they were all green day on day, but we never made it past this 61.8% FIB retracement. So you can see this is not the big FIB that I was talking about on the weekly chart. It is just a smaller swing where after the correction we can expect the market to top out in the 61.8% FIB retracement region before continuing lower. Now here's the thing, you can see that for the start of this week, I wouldn't be surprised if we move a little bit more sideways and then maybe approach a higher level. Why is that? But not for long, right? Because we can see that the MACD is not as bearish as it previously was. We see that the DMI is not as bullish anymore. It's like there's no clear winner. Actually, we are just flattening out a little bit. And we see that the stochastic, however, has still some room to grow. So that means maybe some weak bullish attempt before we continue lower, maybe the 44.97, which is the 78.6% FIB retracement. But overall, I don't expect crazy gains. We will probably top out somewhere. As long as we top out below the most recent peak at 47.3, there's still a good chance for us to continue lower. So when is this halfway bullish idea wrong? Well, as soon as we start getting a daily close below 40.15, which would be the low of this range and would also mean a daily close below the ascending broadening wedge. So please don't get me wrong here. I'm saying there is a chance for us to correct a little bit higher before we continue down. So don't think that I'm like super bullish on this like at all, right? So I'm a little bit torn. I don't really have a clear preference. So for that, I am looking at the hourly chart, and you can see here last week, so I left this on for your reference only. So we see that, okay, this is like the broad swings down that we saw on the daily chart, right? So this here is the mini up leg that we saw on the daily chart, and this is like the sideways move. Now on last Thursday, I think we were here at this point in time, and here it looked like a double top, right? We have a preceding uptrend. There you go. We have a preceding uptrend. We have two peaks hitting this level. We have a neckline. We closed below it. And back then I said, okay, so there is a good chance for us to maybe cross lower. We do need like a second close below the neckline in order to launch a down leg and continue the preceding downtrend, right? On the daily chart as well. So this did not happen. We pushed back into or above the neckline, which now invalidates the whole pattern. So this pattern here is useless. I just left it on for your reference, right? Much rather, this is more of a range now. So can you see this? And even within this range, we are now making lower peaks and higher troughs. So even within this indecisive range, we're even more indecisive now. So I feel within the 41.2, 43.73, I want to say, Within that range, trading opportunities are very, very limited. Even on the hourly chart, I wouldn't really trade anything here. Maybe on the 5-minute, 15-minute chart, if at all, right? What I want to see is a move past this range before making a call. All right, so you can see for now, this Monday morning, maybe a little bit more sideways. There is a chance for us to push higher a little bit, but there is no convincing signals either way. But simply the fact that the bears already tried and failed makes me a tiny bit more preferential to the bulls, but not by much. However, we know exactly that this whole idea of more gains on the daily chart as well will be undone below 41.2. So this is all for the TTF front month. One final thought that will definitely be of interest for you. Clever Markets, I'm very proud to say that, is an official business partner for the X Energy Exchanges conference taking place on the 8th of May in Athens. So if you are around, please do say hello. And the day before that, I will be giving a Clever Markets Technical Analysis Masterclass. So if you are in early, would be very much appreciated if you stop by. The link for the registration is also in the description. Until then, everyone, you're awesome. See you around.